Hello to my festive friends. I've already recorded a video about these Lush special editions, and then my microphone went mad, so it was popping and clicking and sounding crazy. So I'm redoing this now, and I've also chucked in Turmeric Latte because I just got that recently. I have tested that a number of times when it's been out the last couple of years at Christmas, because it seems to now come out along with Snow Fairy as their their Christmas scents. So I thought I'm going to try this again to give it proper full wear test now that I feel like my nose has changed. So I'm going to talk about these and how I feel about them because although I think a lot of them have already sold out, I do also think that these are popping up on eBay all over the place. Now, if you are someone who watches this and you're a real lushy, you and I aren't necessarily going to smell things in the same way. You're not necessarily wrong. I'm not necessarily wrong. But I'm just going to talk about how these smell to me, how I feel about them, and I will talk a little bit about some of the reviews I've seen on Fragrantica and the actual Lush site as well, because I think a couple of these have been slightly controversial, one in particular. So let's start with Golden Pear. I feel like this was one that people were super excited about because this just used for a little while to be part of the body spray collection, I think. So I think it was, I don't know how long it was there for, but I've definitely smelt this before in store. And I didn't buy it at the time. I was like, it's quite nice. I wasn't like fussed about it, but I decided to try it again because obviously it's a community. This is Lush Times community, so it's stuff that people have literally asked Lush for. And there's one of these that I specifically asked Lush for in the comments on one of the other products, but Golden Pear was, I just thought I'm going to try it. So it says here, deep, dark, and delectable, spritz on for a juicy hit of sweetly spiced pear with the warmth of cardamom and orange. Now, if we look at the ingredients, we've got, let's see, obviously perfume, so there'll be a number of scents that we can get from that, but we don't actually know what the notes are. So we've got cardamom, orange oil, sandalwood oil, cinnamate, cinnamol, citral. So it's all those classics. Now, I'm not mad for this, but I will explain myself. I would say this Golden Pear, obviously everything from Lush is described and considered to be unisex. I think from a traditional standpoint, I find Golden Pear to lean ever so slightly masculine. Now, I think the reason for that is because this smells a little bit to me like green apple. It kind of smells a little bit like a spiced cider to me. When I first spray it, I get a juicy pear. I definitely get it's almost like actual pear juice. But the more it dries down and the spice comes through, it really starts to make me think of green apple, and specifically like green apple cider with something kind of spicy and slightly unusual in there. So this is a perfume that I think is really pretty. I like it. I think I'd like it on other people, but I didn't feel very comfortable wearing it, and I was just like, I don't really want to smell like this. Whereas I think, I think specifically if I smelt this on men, I would really enjoy it. I think a lot of people will not at all find this masculine, but it's that is a me thing because I've realised literally just in the last few months that I don't really like green apple in perfumes. And I think in Golden Pear, like I said, it's got a kind of cidery vibe to it, but also sort of cooked green apple rather than like a crisp, fresh green apple. But it's definitely the green apple vibe rather than a red apple because I do like red apple in perfumes. But I'm slowly decluttering all of my green apple perfumes because, or most of them anyway, because there's just something about it that makes me think of candles and I can't get that out of my head. This one is less candle and more kind of, like I said, like more like a masculine scent to me. Um, I also kind of I had a look at the comparisons because people do really like this scent, and that it's very much a me thing that I'm just like, I'm not really keen on this one. I'm probably going to return it. So I did think about this one for a moment and think about Angel Share by Killian, and Angel's Share, I should say, but not because I necessarily think it smells just like it, but there is a kind of spiced, boozy apple vibe going on here. It's not as sweet and syrupy. It's not that same kind of vibe in that respect. But I also think if you layered this with sticky dates, you might start getting something that's a little bit like that, if you see what I mean. But yeah, I mean, if you like the sound of a spicy, boozy apple and pear, if you think if you imagine like like Perry. So if you're gonna go for like a pear cider, with spice. It smells Christmassy, but it doesn't smell ridiculously warm. It's kind of juicy, but it's not massively winter only, if you see what I mean. You could wear it any time of year. I really think that people would be really into this, and I can see from the reviews that most people are, and I'm probably an outlier in this one. But yeah, so I was not keen on golden pear, and that is not one that I'm going to keep. So next we're going to pull up Tender is the Night. Just going to make sure that this little baby is in focus. Okay. I took a bit of a chance with this one, and I didn't order this straight away. I waited until I read a review of it, and someone had said, or I watched a review. I think it might have been on TikTok. I'm not actually on TikTok, but I did a little Google search so I could sneak in on some TikTok stuff. So somebody compared this, and what I was thinking when I saw the notes is this looks very similar to Two Hearts. Um, you can get Two Hearts. It's part of the main perfume collection there, but not the main one, the expensive perfume collection. So part of the perfume library with the black labels. So I like that perfume. I think it's quite pretty, but because I have Keep It Fluffy, that's got the same florals but kind of in different concentrations. So Keep It Fluffy is like ylang ylang and rose, and then the jasmine's quite low in the mix. This one and Two Hearts, the jasmine is higher in the mix, and then it's jasmine, ylang, and then rose. So this one just doesn't work at all on me. I mean, I figured like Two Hearts is quite expensive. I think it's like 75, £80, something like that. And so I was like, this is a cheaper way of getting that same smell, because it was described as smelling like that, but a bit softer, and a slightly softer, more gentle blend. Whereas this one, on me, I can see that similarity definitely, but on me, it starts to get this urinal smell. It's got this like slightly pissy smell, which is the same scent that I got from Super World Unknown. They don't smell at all the same, but just that kind of, why does my skin smell a bit like pee? So I'm not sure what it is about those two perfumes that have like a crossover, but this one just smells dreadful on me. I mean, I can kind of smell that pea smell a little bit from the bottle. Yeah, a little bit. And actually, I had the same thing. What's the other one that I had to get rid of? Dad's Garden. It was the honeysuckle. There was a very natural honeysuckle smell in there that really started to smell a bit pea-like on me. So I'm thinking this might just have a very indolic jasmine in it, and I think that might explain it. So this has got limonal, vanilla absolute, jasmine absolute, ylang ylang, anise, benzoyl, all the classics, geraniol, eugenol, farsenol, all the stuff that they tend to have in Lush perfumes. So this one is interesting. It's got a real tanginess to it, as has a Two Hearts has got a bit of a tanginess. Keep It Fluffy is what I describe as a tangy floral, and this is a tangy floral. So it's definitely got a kind of fruity citrusiness to it, mixed in with some kind of quite creamy, pretty spring-like florals. But like I said, it just doesn't work on me. What is interesting though, I know this is a Simon Constantine perfume, and there is something about this that reminds me a little bit of his own brand's perfume called Mad, which is a vanilla perfume, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in that perfume. There's jasmine, and there's definitely like, it's almost like there's a kind of burnt cotton candy smell in there. It's one that I need to test out to see if I actually want like a 10 ml bottle, because it's quite an interesting and unusual vanilla. This one, it doesn't entirely smell like it, but it did keep making me think of that. But Mad, I think, is much, much nicer. So I think if you're interested in a slightly floral vanilla that's got a bit of tang to it, I would definitely say don't spend loads of money on Tender as the Night from, eBay and from sellers who are inflating the £30 price. It might have been 35, I can't remember, but you'll see it for like 45, 50, 60. I would say maybe go for 35 quid and get a little 10 ml of Mad from And Fragrances, because I think it's much more interesting. If you want something that smells very much like this, then I would say, again, just invest in Two Hearts. I just think it's a nicer perfume myself. But again, maybe everyone doesn't get like a kind of pea smell from this. They probably don't, but this one didn't work for me. So that's being returned as well. So let's move on to some more positive stuff that worked a bit better for me. Let's talk about Creamy Candy. Um, Another absolute beaut. Oh, okay. So this was kind of a surprise to me. I have definitely had some products from Lush. I think I'm sure I've bought my husband like bubble bars maybe, and things that smell like the creamy candy scent. So and the notes here are not helpful because it's perfume, vanilla absolute, and anise. Uh, and I'm just saying, like, this does not just smell like vanilla at all. This smells, when you first spray it, especially, like a very slightly less fruity, slightly less plasticky snow fairy. It smells so much like snow fairy. Um, when you first spray it, it's basically, oh, I've just put on a slightly more intense, a slightly creamier, less juicy version of snow fairy. Now, I like Snow Fairy. I have that body spray, but it's one that, to be honest, the body spray, I sort of prefer it on my skin, on my bedclothes than I do my skin. I just not sure it smells amazing on me personally. Creamy Candy though smells really good on me, so I was really chuffed with this. What I really like about Creamy Candy though is that it veers away from that Snow Fairy vibe after you've been wearing it for a little while, and then the creamy candy comes through. So you're getting kind of a fruity candy at first, a tangy candy, and then you're getting more and more of that creaminess coming through. You do get, like, it smells to me again like the classic Lush mix of tonka and vanilla. It doesn't smell like a straight up vanilla to me at all, but it does have this lovely, almost a little bit more like the dry down you get with American cream. And this does definitely have some similarities with like a less floral American cream. Um, so it's almost like two things I like from Lush kind of smashed into one. It's like I've got the Snow Fairy when I first spray it, and then I've kind of got the deep dry down of American cream going on at the same time. I really like this one. It is, I have to be honest, it's slightly redundant in my collection because I have and love American cream and I have the body spray. But like I said, I'm just going to use the body spray on my bed sheets, and I'm going to wear Creamy Candy because it's really cute. I've already worn it for a date night. It's really sweet, girly, nice. So this one I do think is nice. Again, not worth loads of money because I think you could be just as happy with either Snow Fairy or American Cream. I personally definitely go for American Cream. I much prefer that to Snow Fairy, but yeah, I mean, most reviews on Fragrantica say this smells exactly like Snow Fairy, so I don't think it was necessarily what people were hoping for. Um, I have a feeling that the because I've never smelt the original Creamy Candy perfume, the old one. That I don't know how many times it's come out, but I know on Fragrantica they have a picture of the old black kind of sort of slightly cone-shaped bottles that Lush used to make. So I don't know what that smells like, but I think some of the people reviewing it on Fragrantica specifically, rather than the Lush website, have said this is a bit disappointing because it doesn't smell like the original Creamy Candy perfume, and they're all saying it smells like Snow Fairy. It's not quite the same. It's not got the same creamy vanillic vibe. But I still think it's really nice. I really like this one. So let's talk about Supermilk. This is the one that has got the not good reviews on the actual Lush site, I should say. Love site? I do love their site. I hate their app though. They like to pop up a thing when I'm looking at it on a desktop or on a tablet or something when I'm actually on the web page saying you've got a better experience in the app. I highly disagree. But these all did come out on the app first, so I had to use the app. Now, Supermilk, I used to have that hair. I mean, is it technically called a leave-in conditioner? I don't know if that's what Lush called it, but that's how I used to try and use it, and that like sort of more of a styling thing. Um, I didn't mind the smell, but it was very, very strong. And to be honest, I don't necessarily always like to have super strong things in my hair, just because I like to mix it up with my perfumes. And sometimes Lush hair products are so strong. Like my old pot of R&B, which is again they've changed the name, but I think it's the same thing. I think it smells the same. If I put R&B in my hair, it will overpower almost any perfume I'm wearing. It's so strong. Used to be the same with Daddy O shampoo before they changed that, and now that doesn't really smell very strong. But Supermilk was kind of, I always thought it was like a slightly citrusy and unusual smelling, sweet, kind of nutty smell. Um, and it just so happened that at the time it was before my hair was quite as grey the first time I tried that. So I didn't really get on very well with it because I had quite thin hair, or at least fine hair, I should say. Lots of hair, but fine. Um, I'm probably going to try it again now because I've got this, and I think it would be fun to try that again to see whether I can combine the two. Now that my hair's quite grey, because obviously grey hair's really thick. But anyway, I have digressed as normal. So apparently, people were going mad for the smell of Supermilk, like as if it was, and using it like a hair perfume on TikTok. Now, like I said, I'm not on TikTok. I don't really have time for TikTok. It's like there's a lot. It's too much for me. It's just a lot. I like long form things more than real short form things, as you can probably tell from my channel if you watch me regularly. So people were quite upset because this does not have the same creamy, nutty nuances that the actual Supermilk hair product does. Now, I'm not really surprised about that because this doesn't have it's not the same ingredients, right? So this is the perfume that they put into that product. Um, but the product obviously has loads of nut oils and all this stuff that changes the smell. Now, could Lush have put like an almond note in this and made it a little bit closer, or whatever oils that they have, if it's got like macadamia or whatever, could they have put that in? Maybe. Smelling the Barbie perfume when it came out, although I hated the dry down of that because I found it harsh and scratchy, and I thought it actually smelt like a bath bomb. Um, the top notes were a delicious cherry and a fabulous sweet almond. That lasted for like 3 seconds, but it was there. So they definitely could have put something like that in here that might have changed almost what the texture of this perfume is. But I just really like this perfume. I think it's really nice. it's I can see why people are annoyed though. It's quite citrusy, and it almost smells like a benzoin bomb to me. Yeah, because what this reminds me slightly of two things that I have from Lush. So, firstly, let's have a little look at the notes. So we've got, all right, Litzia cubea. So that's also in the Princess Peach body spray that they did with the Super Mario collab, which I have. Um, so it is sort of almost citrusy, but kind of not quite citrusy. So I thought that it smelled a bit like pineapple in that other one. Here, I think it translates as just being a bit more citrusy. So it's got a real citrusy, fruity top. Then it's got tonka, vanilla absolute, anise, benzonate, benzoyl, cinnamol. So it's got a coumarin. So it's like the most intense tonkery vibe you can get, plus actual tonka, and then like the benzonate, benzyl, all this kind of stuff, um, and then the kind of slight spiciness you get from cinnamon. It's got all this stuff going on, so it definitely gets sweeter in the dry down. You get a slight sweet creaminess, really pretty. I actually, in a weird way, think it smells slightly Christmassy, and the reason I think that is because I always think that anything benzoiny to me starts to take on a kind of Christmassy, almost gingerbready smell. So I Super Milk feels a little bit to me like there is ever so slight vibe of Hairdresser's Husband, which is a citrus vanilla. and then a little bit of What Would Love Do, which is an old perfume. I think it's literally just tangerine, lavender, and benzoin, and there's a lot of benzoin in it. Um, and that one I do think really does dry down to smell like a kind of spiced, citrusy, deep, dark gingerbread. Like, imagine you'd made a gingerbread with actual treacle, or molasses, so dark but sweet and warm. Um, so Supermilk is kind of an easier version of that, because that one I couldn't wear any other time of year. I literally save it for Christmas. And I'm actually really looking forward to wearing that one this Christmas. But this is kind of a slightly lighter, a more vanillic, slightly more creamy in the dry down anyway, and a slightly more citrusy version of that kind of smell to me. So it's warm, it's bright, but it's warm, and it's sweet, but it's tangy. It's really pretty. I really like this, and I do think it's a bit of a shame that I feel like so many people have returned it, because I just think that people are going to be, I don't know. I guess people didn't really think it through, and possibly a lot of the people who bought Supermilk maybe have only kind of seen the hair product on TikTok, maybe haven't smelt many Lush perfumes, because these are all very lushy. They all have that Lush DNA, like really obviously Lush perfumes. So, yeah, personally, if you can get Supermilk for a decent price, I think it's really nice. And particularly because it's like an approachable feeling version of something like What Would Love Do. Now, that's discontinued, long discontinued. It's quite hard to get hold of. So Supermilk is probably actually easier to get hold of than that one at the moment, and probably cheaper. So I mean, I just really like it. Like, if any of you guys have Supermilk and What Would Love Do, let me know if you get any kind of crossover, because it's just they're kind of vibing to me. It took me a little while to realize, because at first when I first tried it on my skin, I was like, is this making me think of Hairdresser's Husband? And then the more it dried down, I was like, oh no, it's making me think of What Would Love Do. But yeah, I like it. I'm keeping that one. I think it's really nice. So, last of the perfumes is Turmeric Latte. So this is one that like I said, I've tried this in store before. When I last talked about it, I said I've tried it, but I feel like it was too sweet for me, and there was too much vanilla. Um, And smelling it again, I'm like, oh no, it wasn't that. That's not what it was. It's very sweet, don't get me wrong. But it's also, to me, very smoky. Um, so I'd completely forgotten. Like, I mean, I think probably when I first smelt this, or the last time I tried it on my skin, it would have been way too sweet for me. But honestly, in the last year, I have had such a turnaround when it comes to very sweet perfumes. Like, I am really digging sweet perfumes, and so my feelings about it have changed in that respect. But my feelings haven't changed. It's like super, super smoky, and it's quite an intense wear, I'd say, this one. So the notes for turmeric latte are coumarin, so intensely sweet again, with tonka absolute, so there's a lot of sweetness. There's benzoin resinoid again, vanilla absolute again, anise again, cinnamon again. So it's got like this sweet, deep, smoky, warm vibe. My feelings about this is that it smells like a bonfire, um, but maybe a bonfire while you're toasting marshmallows, like the smell of a marshmallow when it's literally on fire. Um, so I wasn't at all sure about this, because it does have a medicinal quality to it. It definitely, to me, smells a little bit medicinal, but the medicinal vibe is kind of turning into a smoky vibe when mixed with that sweetness. Um, and it honestly, it smells like a bonfire. It kind of reminds me of when my husband and I had our little honeymoon anniversary type thing, and we had the fire pit, and we were toasting marshmallows over the real, like, burning wood quite close to it. We were both sitting quite close to it. This is kind of the smell. So also, it smells a little bit like tobacco vanille and perfumes of that ilk from Tom Ford, but this was like, I think this was 30 or 35 pounds. Again, I can't ever remember quite like how much, but yeah, it has that kind of vibe. So, because if you told me there was tobacco in this, I'd be like, ah, yes, that kind of explains it. So a kind of just almost like a wet tobacco with a lot of sweetness. You totally could tell me that this was a toasted marshmallow. I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. And then a burning wood. It's almost, again, it's like a good alternative to something. If you're vegan or you like natural perfumes and you prefer Lush to other places, this is, it's kind of giving me the vibe that I wanted to get from the Maison Margiela replica by the fireplace. That on me, it smelled like incredibly smoky at first, and then it just dried down to be an incredibly sickly vanilla on me. Like it doesn't suit me, that one. Like I just don't get on with it. The vanilla in it is not my, or at least it wasn't my kind of vibe. I've never really found a replica perfume that smells nice on my skin. I think there's something in the DNA of that house that doesn't work for me. But this one, I think I sprayed it on me and I was like, ooh, I think maybe too medicinal. And then after a while, I thought, maybe it's not so much that, it's just too smoky. And then I kept going back to smell it. And I was like, right, we're going to have to do a full wear test of this because I do think that this is a real grower. And I think if you like sweet, smoky perfumes, I think you might really dig this. So I would definitely recommend that. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure I'd recommend this one, but I think I'd recommend all the rest of these. So let's finish with sticky dates. Now, this is the one that when I tried the shower gel, I was like, guys, seriously, can we have a body spray of this? Because basically, I I loved the smell when I got out of the shower, but as with most modern Lush shower gels, that smell doesn't necessarily last particularly long. But on a really, really bitterly cold winter night, if I had a really hot shower, and I'm sure it's the same for people who actually will have, perfumed products in the bath, I just loved how I smelt. I loved how it smelt in the bathroom. I was just wanting more and more and more. I was like, so yummy. So I went and bought Demeter sticky toffee pudding because the Sticky Dates shower gel smells to me like a British sticky toffee pudding. Like deep, rich, strong. It's got those lovely dates all smashed up in it, making it all kind of unctuous and like, ugh, love, love sticky toffee pudding. So unfortunately, the Demeter one, I wasn't that impressed. I didn't really think it smelled like a sticky toffee pudding. I think it was almost more of a maple syrupy vibe, almost like if you told me it was like a pecan pie or something, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. It's sweet and it's kind of a bit unctuous, but it didn't quite have that vibe. Sticky Dates, and they have managed to do it in this as well, has a hardcore sticky toffee pudding vibe to it. So it's got a butteriness, and you have to be careful when you first spray it though, because oh my god, is this strong when you first spray it? Like knock your socks off strong. I don't think, weirdly though, that it particularly lasts that long. So, I mean, it doesn't really bother me because realistically, this is one I'm going to wear to bed. And I'm sure that if you sprayed this on clothes, it would last way longer. But on my skin, this one disappeared. I think after like a couple of hours, I couldn't particularly smell this anymore, but my skin might have just eaten it. I don't know. Let me just see. I can't really smell it. I can't smell it from the sprayer. Whereas yeah, golden pear I can really smell from the sprayer. Golden pear is way longer lasting and stronger than sticky dates. And in fact, I'd go as far as to say golden pear is also longer lasting than creamy candy and Supermilk. Not necessarily turmeric latte, but it's definitely, I could smell this way after creamy candy and Supermilk were like super skin scents. So yeah, golden pear is more of the vibe of the old classic Lush body sprays where they just are almost eternal and last better than some designer eau de parfums. So Sticky Dates has carob resinoid, which is not an ingredient I've ever seen in a Lush perfume before. So I think the only reason I know what carob is because I've like seen people talking about how like calling it nature's candy, and it kind of looked like little chocolate chips, and kids used to get annoyed because they'd think they had chocolate chip cookies and it was just little carob bits. I don't know. Um, but anyway, very sweet, nature's candy. Again, benzoin resinoid, classic. Sandalwood oil, classic. Cinnamon, classic. Um, and then perfume. So there's a lot of stuff going on here that must be in that little perfume bracket, so we don't have the specific notes. So on here it says, wrap yourself in the caramelized aroma of sweet benzoin resinoid and calming sandalwood oil. I'm going to have to spray it because I literally can't smell it from the thing, but this is going to make me cough. Um, Ooh, straight up buttery sticky toffee pudding. But interestingly, it's not the kind of butteriness that makes you feel sick, and it doesn't remain smelling buttery. But it really genuinely does smell like an actual sticky toffee pudding. It's incredible, really. Um, yeah, I mean, I can almost taste it. It's very strong when you first spray it. You don't need to put loads on. See, I will have to start editing this because it makes me cough when I spray this one because it's actually like so sweet and so strong, and it's really thick in the air. Like, woof. I couldn't ever use this as a room spray. Like, it's way, way over the top. But that's why I was so surprised. I mean, I can actually taste it, but I don't. I'm really surprised that this one didn't last very long on me. Like, I don't know. My husband came into the room after I'd sprayed it on after I'd had a shower. I'd used Yognog in the shower actually, and then I washed. I sprayed this on when I was dry before I was getting into bed. And he walked into the room and he said, "Oh, it smells lovely in here." But he really likes the Sticky Date shower gel as well, so I think that's fair enough. Um, is this worth buying if you can see it on eBay? Is the question. I mean, in terms of the scent, absolutely. If you want to smell like a sticky toffee pudding, absolutely. In terms of the longevity versus price, you get a lot in this bottle. And I'm absolutely sure that for some people, this is going to last really well. Oh my God, honestly, I can hardly talk. I'm like, by the time you actually see this full video, there's going to be so many edits in this last little bit because I almost can't breathe. Like, that's how, like, invasive this scent is. Um, oh my God, right. So, basically, I am definitely going to have to decant some of this into a sprayer that isn't this big because it is like intense. It's oh my God. Oh my goodness, yeah. So I mean, I am now a mess and I sprayed that once. It's like my whole room is like an explosion. So yeah, this is getting decanted into a bottle where I can spray it in a more sensible way. Because this does not need to have a sprayer that is this massive. But yeah, it just doesn't last on me. Oh, guys, I'm going to have to sign off because I can hardly breathe. Oh, God. So anyway, sticky dates. Be careful. Be careful of sticky dates is all I'm saying. I understand why the perfumer said there's no way they could have made that as an actual perfume because it's already so, so intense. And I mean, I can barely breathe in my room right now. And like, oh, good grief. Um, yeah, so that's how I feel about all these perfumes. Um, I really like both of these. I think they're really nice, and this one I think might be a grower. These two are going to be returned because they just this one isn't my kind of thing, and this one just smells terrible on me. But apart from that, really interesting. As you can hear, I can't talk anymore, so I'm gonna have to go. Thank you for watching my video. Be warned of sticky dates. Woof.